Today is a very special day in many respects. This, in effect, is the first address I have been called upon to give since taking office as Prime Minister of St. Martin only yesterday afternoon. And I do not consider it a coincidence that the occasion is the International Children's Rights Day, established officially on this day in 1959, when the United Nations adopted the Declaration on Children's Rights, followed by the ratification on November 20th, 1989, of the International Convention on Children's Rights. Our children are our future. It's a cliche we hear quite often at events like this one. However, let me make it abundantly clear that the new team of ministers that took the oath of office yesterday is indeed focused on the future, or rather, on laying a strong foundation for a future of progress and prosperity for our island. That future cannot be achieved without our children. No occasion can therefore have been more appropriate than this one to deliver my first official address as Prime Minister. The aim of International Rights Day is to focus attention on the welfare of children around the world. According to the Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon, the one thing all children have in common is their rights. Every child has the right to survive, the right to thrive, to be educated, to be free from violence and abuse, to participate and to be heard. Other rights of children listed in the United Nations Convention include the right to life, the right to food, to health, to play, as well as the right to a nationality and identity, and the right to family and family life, and not to be discriminated against. These are all fundamental rights, not privileges. Each child is entitled to them, regardless of their place of origin, regardless of their race, color, class, ethnic or family background, physical or mental condition or gender. Each child should be able to exercise these rights in freedom and in peace. St. Martin subscribes to these rights. Our compulsory education law, for example, is in accordance with these rights. We cannot build a dynamic, peaceful, progressive, and prosperous society unless we ensure that each child is guaranteed of these rights. But let me hasten to emphasize, as the adage goes, that it takes a village to raise a child. In other words, government cannot do it alone. It is a task for the entire society, the proverbial village, starting from the home, passing through the schools, and including non-governmental organizations. I must, at this juncture, applaud the work that is being done by groups such as Voices of Our Children, the various sporting and cultural organizations on the island, and service clubs like the Rotary Club. I wake up every morning and hear the Rotary Champions of Peace delivering their message on the radio. All of these efforts are commendable, but perhaps not enough. We still have a long journey ahead on the road to entrenching children's rights, not only here in St. Martin, but all around the world.
Today, November 20th, 2015, marks a celebration of International Day of the Rights of Child. Many in society today believe that children have too many rights, as is, and that this is why they are going astray. While St. Martin has signed on to the Convention for the Rights of the Child and is striving to ensure that these rights are upheld, this in no way concludes that we allow our children to run wild and free. With rights comes responsibilities. The main persons or entities who have to uphold this responsibility, teach this responsibility, are the parents and the family. So it is with great joy that I rejoin the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth, and Sports on this day. On a day like today, where I can, from this perspective, stress how important it is to focus on our children, their rights to love and a loving family, education, health, safety, a name, a nationality, and so much more. Who must ensure that these fundamental rights are upheld? Their parents, and by extension, their families and the government. We, as a government, also have a major role to play in this, and we strive to improve daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly in raising the standards on this 37 square mile piece of the earth. So I applaud the Department of Youth Affairs for focusing on this theme: strong families nurture strong societies, for 2015. And I would implore all to maintain this focus, not just today or for the next few weeks, but to maintain this focus for the duration, for the foreseeable future, as we build the strong families that are the foundation of a strong nation. I congratulate the Youth Department. I congratulate the former minister, my good friend, Mrs. Rita Bourne-Gomes, the colleagues of the Youth Department from the North, the Family and Social Affairs Department, as well as all other stakeholders on both North and South St. Martin, who yearly come together in a show of true unity. I have experienced this in the past, and we talked nicely on November 11th, but this is one of the examples of true unity here in this country, on this island we love that we call St. Martin, that they come together to organize not just a week, but a series of events and activities geared at educating our community and our youth on their rights, as well as empowering our children and youth. The child's right to be heard will be exercised as many young voices today and in the weeks to come. And I pray that as a government, we find opportunities year-round to afford our youth and children the opportunity to be heard and to take their voices into consideration in our laws, policies, and programs, which we set forth to benefit them. They too must have a say in this, and the Youth Department has done so in the past by involving them in the youth conferences that go towards setting the policies. Today is recognized as the International Day of the Rights of the Child, and I congratulate parents and families who continuously build up and encourage their children to exercise their rights. A strong child, supported by strong families, will certainly nurture a strong and productive society. I implore all within the sound of my voice to look within. Look within your nuclear families and extended families and seek ways to strengthen each and every child in our St. Martin society. Respect, impulse control, compassion, equity. Can you repeat those 4 words for me? Respect, impulse control, compassion, equity, R-I-C-E. Okay, you can stop repeating now. An acronym, a very short acronym that any child, any family, any classroom can use to set the rules of conduct, communication, and education in such a way that everyone feels empowered. I can tell you from experience as a teacher in the classroom that these 4 words have changed little ruffians into gentlemen that today walk up to me and say, "Teacher, thank you. Thank you. I still use rice today." R-I-C-E. If nothing else, remember it. Respect, respect for self and others. Impulse control, controlling that urge to do what you know is not right at that time and in that place. Compassion, I see it up here too. Putting yourself in the shoes of the other person. Having compassion. You don't have to necessarily love everybody. Everybody might not grade you the right way. But you can, at that moment in time, put yourself in their shoes and understand that maybe today they are having a bad day. And that could be a child, that could be a parent, that could be a member of parliament, that could be a minister, that could be a toddler of 2. If we can remember that, as well as equity, and that was the one that gave my students the most difficult time, because they're like, what does that mean? It does not mean equal. Because as a parent, at that time, I had a teenager as a child. Can you even identify what you need? It starts with that. So start to look within. As a child, you don't like the way maybe the rules in your house are set. Make a nice list. Plan your attack well. Do not try this at 6 o'clock when mom or dad comes home from work. Why? They're in a bad place. The stress from the job. My son has it down to a scientific fact. He catches me early in the morning. That's when he catches me, when I'm still a little groggy. But I catch up with him later in the day. And you present your case with factual information and inform of your feelings on the matter, and I guarantee you, in time, your parents will hear you. Your teachers will hear you. Let your voice be heard.
Isn't it wonderful, such creative expression? And that's what it's all about at the International Rights of the Child Day. I would also like to recognize, of course, my colleague Shermina Powell-Richardson and her team. Didn't they do an awesome job once more, together with the French side? It shows that we continue to grow as a ministry, that we try to serve you students as much as possible, and that we use these type of occasions to teach you, to inform you, and to indeed ensure that you participate and that you are empowered, because it is indeed your future, as has been expressed. So indeed, International Day of the Rights of the Child is, as was mentioned by the Prime Minister and my Minister, celebrated every year for many years, of course, since the convention was ratified in '89. And St. Martin, with the assistance of the Youth Department with the Ministry, of course, ensures that St. Martin Saint-Martin, in a collaboration, participates and recognizes this global observation. Having said that, let me, on behalf of our ministry, therefore extend the well wishes, and in particular, of course, you, the children, the students of St. Martin and Saint-Martin, on this special day. The day allows us to reflect on the fact that Children's Rights Convention is the most widely ratified international human rights treaty, and therefore recognizing that you are no other than adults amongst us. And it was highlighted, of course, that you have the right to life, the right to health, the right to education, the right to play, the right to express yourself, to be protected from violence, not to be discriminated against, and to have your views heard. Your views, especially your views in our young country and our democratic society that we aspire to be. It is so important that your views are heard, and it's such a it's so important to recognize that we indeed have a variety of events organized for you throughout the coming days, the following week. Even indeed public debates and public meetings organized by the Youth Council to ensure that the variety of those type of rights are displayed in what we organize during the events. Sports days, organized in collaboration with the French side, also organized by the Early Childhood Development Foundation. So Sports Day in terms of an expression of your right to play, or a public meeting as an expression of your right to have your views and your ideas taken into consideration. I have indeed also taken note that we've chosen this year's theme, and it focuses on the family and the family life, and emphasizes that the importance of family life in our society. Strong families nurture strong societies, as echoed once more following the Prime Minister and the Minister and the representative of the French side, Mrs. Connor. I believe that it's important to there, I could not print this, and I'm being modern, just like you guys, using no paper, but it's like slipping through me. One moment. So, as I said, indeed, we recognize that it is about strong families, and that strong families nurture strong societies. So perhaps, what does it mean? What should be indeed the role of the family? It is to ensure that the family is focused on the future of a strong country and a strong society. I believe that it is therefore also the family that brings up children and teaches you the values, passes on the knowledge through the schools and also outside, instill in you the responsibility to be good citizens and to live in harmony with others in our diverse society. With the great challenges that families are faced with today, it is even more imperative that we place and that we strive to build strong families. So, what should we do to build strong families? We should continue to focus on building loving relationships, as was emphasized. We should model good examples. We should spend quality time together, as was emphasized by our minister, especially indeed in those morning hours. We should cultivate mutual respect. We should share and learn to give compliments rather than critique each other. We should seek to communicate at all times. At all times is what we have to emphasize. We should share and learn to work with each other. And the French and the Dutch side have joined hands, therefore, once more in our many activities, as I emphasized. And it has a variety of things to do, and I hope that all the students can participate and at least choose one or two events, being it tonight with the Young Ambassadors movie night, being it at a sports activity, joining a rally, or a sports day next week. I'm sure that your parents will encourage and support you, especially, as our minister so dearly emphasized, if you show and bring the facts, choose the right moment to approach them and ask them to join you to celebrate your day. I think it says it all, how the Department of Youth Affairs expresses it on the banner. We would like to continue to inspire you, to educate you, and to, most of all, empower you. I am king.
I want to say this because, you know, when we talk about children's rights, many times we hear, but what about their responsibilities? So the thought came to me, what if there were no rights? What if children did not have a family? What if children did not have health care? what if children did not have the opportunity for an education? And I stood still. I said, you know, that's the reason. Because we as adults really need to protect them. Because perhaps we have failed them. And that is why the convention came in place. And so I want us, when we're reflecting on children's rights, that we understand that it is our rights as adults to protect them and to ensure that they become the, what is it, adults? Well, let's say the leaders of society. And so therefore, even though they have rights, there is still a great emphasis of responsibility that is placed on adults to ensure that these rights for our children are upkept. So then we can say, yes, our children have families. Yes, our children have health care. Yes, our children are being educated. And I can go on and on in regards to the 54 articles that are stipulated in the convention. Some of them basically are dealing with how the convention actually should be seen, but there are specific core articles, I believe, starting from, if I'm not mistaken, from 6 until about 35, that deals with the specific rights that children have in the world. And so we are happy that the adults saw it fitting to ensure that this convention was established. And we're even more happy that the government of both the northern side and the southern side, through, of course, the kingdom for us, signed on this convention. And consistently, and this year we had a very, I would say, unique experience where we went to Geneva, well, at least for me for the first time, but for the first time under the country of St. Martin, that we were there. I think we were even more fortunate that our honorable outgoing minister chaired the session on behalf of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. And I think that's a great accomplishment. We were, for the first time, having sat, yes, for the first time, we were responsible to compile our reports because it was done under the former Netherlands Antilles. But this time, St. Martin was able to do so. Another great accomplishment. And it shows us that we are moving forward despite the challenges that we see in this society. We as a government, as this department, we want to say that there's great hope. There's great hope for our children as long as we deem it necessary to go to the forefront and to protect them. I heard someone echo that they are the center. Certainly they are the center, because if we don't make them the center, then there's no future. There's no future if they're not at the center. And so I want to really ask us to really reflect on the theme. The theme talks about strong families, nurturing strong societies. And so, who are the family? The family consists of individuals. And those individuals need to understand their responsibility. And so, we want that reflection in regards to what should the male, and this year we started with empowering our men because they are part of the family. The I Am King program does that. We continuously look at the children. I know that most of the times we talk about women programs, etc. But we do not want to exclude our women in our families, and they make up a strong society. So I would hope that we would continue to really reflect and go beyond the call of duty to do what it takes, not only to put the children at the forefront in St. Martin, but I dare say internationally, because a lot of times we box them in and we say, you know, we've sent them abroad, we want them to come back and work, etc. But what about when they're abroad making us known, making St. Martin known? They can be future scientists. Some will say, you know, where do we have space for that in this society? But if we have a future scientist that is called a St. Martin or somewhere internationally, that puts us in focus as a country and also allows the international, I would say, superpowers, as they say, realize that even though we may be 37 square miles, we still can have an impact in the world as such. So let us not limit, but let us allow them to dream big. Let us allow them to spread their wings, not only on St. Martin, but all over the world. Today, I have been given also the responsibility of giving the thank you, and I do so with great humility because it takes a team to get a job done. If there's a missing link, then we have a problem. And so I want to today acknowledge everyone for their efforts.
Here this morning. Thank you for the opportunity to say good morning to you, to say welcome, to say it's a pleasure to have you gathered here, and to wish you all the very best today and in the days to come. The best of what this program will be offering you. I also want to take the opportunity to extend to you the challenge to take as much as you can from all that is being organized for you, so that together we can build a cadre of the next generation that will not only make St. Martin proud, your parents proud, your teachers proud, but will make the world know that St. Martin exists and is thriving because of its young people. Happy celebration of the International Day of the Rights of the Child. It's a pleasure to be here with you and recognize that indeed it sounds cliche, but our future lies in your hands. Treat it well and enjoy yourselves. You are St. Martin. God bless you and bless this organization. Thank you.